It happened 8 times in 8 different places on the planet. Peoples who never knew each other, separated by oceans and thousands of years. And they all did the same thing. They built civilization from scratch. Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, China, Mesoamerica, the Andes, Nigeria, Greece. 8 independent experiments, each one with a different solution to the same human problem. Let me show you. Mesopotamia, 4000 BC, between 2 rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, desert all around, but water cutting right through it. Every year the rivers flooded and left behind fertile soil. That's when, for the first time, humans stopped moving and stayed. In the beginning, someone planted wheat near the river and realized the water comes on its own. Every year, the rivers overflowed. They left behind rich black soil, agriculture. No need to hunt, no need to migrate. Plant, wait, harvest. Then villages became cities. Uruk, 3500 BC, 50,000 people, walls 10 meters high. Babylon, 1800 BC, the Hanging Gardens. Try organizing 50,000 people. Who planted how much? Who owes taxes? How much grain is in storage? That's when the Sumerians invented writing 3200 BC, cuneiform marks pressed into clay, a wet tablet, a reed stylus. You press, the mark stays. It started as accounting, 10 sacks of grain. Then it became literature. The Epic of Gilgamesh, 2100 BC, the first written story in the world. Over time, Hammurabi wrote 282 laws, 1750 BC, carved into a 2-meter stone, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You sign contracts today. Mesopotamia invented that. Writing changed everything. Because human memory fails, people die, verbal agreements disappear. But stone lasts 4,000 years. Civilization began the moment someone said, "Let's write this down." Agreements dissolve into thin air, but not stone. Stone lasts 4,000 years. Civilization began when someone said, "Let's write this down," and that changed everything. Egypt, 3100 BC. Egypt isn't a country, it's a river. 6,650 kilometers of desert, and a 10-kilometer strip of fertile land. The Nile. Without it, Egypt is the Sahara. In the beginning, the Nile did something magical. Every year, same time, it flooded. It brought black silt, all the way from Ethiopia, rich in nutrients. The water would recede. Fertile soil remained, a natural 365-day calendar. Then the Egyptians had an existential crisis. Are we just going to die and turn to dust? Their answer, absolutely not. So they built pyramids. Khufu, 2580 BC. 146 meters tall, 2.3 million blocks, each one weighing 2.5 tons. No cranes, no metal wheels, ramps, sleds, oil to reduce friction. 20 years of work. The pharaoh was a living god, son of Ra, and a god simply cannot end. So they mummified, preserved the body, filled the tomb with possessions. They looked time in the eye and said no. It lasted 3,000 years. When Cleopatra ruled 30 BC, the pyramids were already 2,500 years old. To her, the pyramids were as ancient as Cleopatra is to you today. Egypt conquered death, not biologically, but culturally. You know the name Ramesses II, a pharaoh who died 3,200 years ago, and you know who he was. That's immortality, their way. The Indus Valley, 3,300 BC, the largest ancient civilization, not the most famous, the largest in size. 1.25 million square kilometers, 1,400 cities, and you've probably never heard of it. While Egypt was building pyramids, the Indus Valley was building something else entirely. Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, planned cities with streets laid out in a perfect grid, running north to south, east to west. Perfectly straight streets, north to south, east to west. Bricks in a 4:2:2:1 ratio, every single one identical. Standardization. Every house had a bathroom, connected to an underground sewer system. Clay pipes, covered, drainage channels running down the center of every street with removable lids for maintenance. In 2,500 BC, Rome 2,000 years later, they threw sewage straight into the street. London didn't have a sewage system until 1865. The Indus Valley solved sanitation 3,000 years before Europe. Around 1900 BC, they vanished. It wasn't war. The cities were simply abandoned. Drought, earthquakes, a river changing course. Nobody knows. They didn't build pyramids. They didn't glorify kings. They built sewers, and you know which civilization had the highest quality of life for the longest time. The one that cared about sanitation, not glory. China, 2070 BC. Every other ancient civilization died. Egypt, conquered. Mesopotamia, conquered. The Indus Valley, disappeared. China still here. 4,000 years. The Yellow River. Water the color of mud. They planted rice. Rice feeds a lot of people on very little land. The population exploded. The Shang Dynasty, 1600 BC. Writing on oracle bones, you take an ox bone, write a question. Do the gods want war? Heat it over fire. The bone cracks. A priest reads the fractures. Those symbols became Chinese characters, the only ancient writing system still in use today. The Qin Dynasty, 221 BC. Qin Shi Huang. Unified China, standardized writing, currency, weights, built the Great Wall, 21,000 kilometers. The Mongols invaded, later they became Chinese. China decided, it doesn't matter who's in charge. What matters is that China continues. Dynasties are temporary. China is permanent. 4,000 years of proof. Mesoamerica, 1500 BC. The Olmecs, southern Mexico. On the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. No contact with Egypt, China, or Mesopotamia. And they invented civilization all over again, from scratch. 17 stone heads, 3 meters tall, 20 tons each, carved from basalt. Basalt quarried 80 kilometers away. No wheels, no horses, they rolled them, dragged them, floated them down rivers. They were probably kings. San Lorenzo, 1200 BC. La Venta, 900 BC, planned cities. Pyramids 34 meters tall. They grew corn, beans, and squash, the Three Sisters, and cacao. The Olmecs were the first. They developed writing around 900 BC, the Cascajal block 62 symbols, the long count calendar, base 20 math, and they invented zero independently from India, independently from Mesopotamia, because math isn't cultural, it's universal. If you have to count, eventually you need nothing. Around 400 BC, the centers were abandoned, but the culture didn't die. The Maya inherited the writing and the calendar. The Aztecs inherited the ball game and the rituals. Civilization needs stubborn human beings. The Andes, 3000 BC, Caral, Peru, 5,000 years old, 500 years older than the pyramids of Giza. No ceramics, no writing, no war, civilization. 6 pyramids built using shikras, fiber bags filled with rocks, stacked layer by layer. A natural earthquake-resistant system. A circular plaza 32 meters wide, an amphitheater for 1,000 people, and 0 defensive walls. No weapons found, no signs of violence in any skeleton. Caral didn't fight, so how did they survive? Trade. They fished anchovies and traded them for cotton from the mountains. Cotton made nets. Nets caught more fish. Shells from Ecuador, 1,500 kilometers away. A trade network with no conflict. Around 1800 BC, an earthquake or a drought, abandoned. Carroll proves you don't need war to build a civilization, you don't need an army. Sometimes greatness is trade, cooperation building together. It lasted 1,200 years, peacefully. Nook, Nigeria, 1000 BC. Everyone knows Egypt, but Africa wasn't just Egypt. Northern Nigeria, the Nook culture, blacksmiths, artists, pioneers, and almost nobody talks about them. They skipped the Bronze Age entirely, went straight to iron. Iron melts at 1,538 degrees Celsius. You need special furnaces, temperature control, a clay furnace, iron ore and charcoal, sponge iron comes out, you hammer it. Remove the impurities, it becomes a tool, a hoe, an axe, a spear. With iron, farming became more efficient. Weapons became superior. A civilizational advantage in 500 BC before most of Europe. And then there was the art. Terracotta sculptures, human heads, triangular eyes, elaborate hairstyles. Some showed disease, elephantiasis, facial paralysis. They depicted reality, not idealization. Around 300 AD, production stopped. But the culture didn't disappear. It transformed. It influenced Ife, Benin. Metalworking spread across West Africa, all the way down to Southern Africa. Nok proves civilization isn't just pyramids. Sometimes it's mastering fire, turning stone into metal, capturing humanity in clay. They changed Africa forever. Greece, 800 BC. It wasn't the first, it's just the one you know best. Why? Because it invented the ideas you still use today. Democracy, philosophy, science. The Western world is a child of Athens. In every other civilization, power came from above, a pharaoh, an emperor, a priest-king. Greece did it differently. Athens, 508 BC, Cleisthenes created democracy. An assembly of 6,000 citizens, they voted on laws, on war, on peace. For the first time, free men decided. And because citizens made decisions, citizens had to think. Philosophers emerged. Socrates questioned everything. He died for it. Hemlock. Plato founded the academy, the first university. Aristotle systematized knowledge, logic, ethics, biology, physics. Democritus said atoms in 400 BC. No microscope, just thought. He was right. Greece didn't last long. The Peloponnesian War. Macedonia conquered it. Then Rome. But the ideas conquered the conquerors. Rome copied Greece. The Renaissance resurrected Greece. You vote, that's Athens. You question things, that's Socrates. Do you see the pattern? 8 places, 8 peoples. They never met, but they all did essentially the same thing. Someone looked around at a group of disorganized humans and thought, there has to be a better way to do this. And each one found one way, not the way, one way. Mesopotamia wrote the rules. Egypt built for eternity. The Indus Valley planned every detail. China decided never to stop. Mesoamerica measured time. The Andes traded in peace. Nok mastered fire. Greece questioned everything. 8 different solutions to the same human problem. It happened 8 times, and it's still happening.